Hey everyone, we're here today in the kitchen and I've just started, well, in the last couple of years doing fermenting. And I know when I initially started the curiosity process, it was super overwhelming because it was like, what if the bad bacteria, what if, how do we do it? It just seems so challenging, like pickling and preserving and boiling cans and stuff like that. And the more I researched, I couldn't believe how easy it was. So I started doing stuff a little while ago, and I've just recently started really getting into it. So I thought I would just show some basic recipes. Why do we ferment? We do it because, as we know, there's more and more talk on probiotics and how healthy they are for us, for our gut. And a lot of people take probiotics just to get that gut flora, better in our systems. And a lot of things like bloating and leaky gut and all these things we have within our systems are all from an imbalance in gut flora. And it can be just from taking antibiotics, even pregnancy. I know after I had my second child, I had a lot of candida and a lot of bloating, and no matter what I did, I just couldn't get that down. And so essentially getting that healthy gut and healthy bacteria helps to just balance that out within your system. And they're saying just 90% of our immune system is in our gut. So we can't avoid pathogens and all these bacteria and stuff coming into our system. This is ginger. But if we can create a healthy bioterrain in our gut, we can combat anything that comes in. So this is about teaching how we can create healthy bacteria and just integrate it into what we eat every day. I know I started doing this, and my kids love what we make here. Like they can't get enough of it. The sauerkraut sometimes can be a bit funny. I know for me, initially sauerkraut, I was one of those like, it smells really intense, and our palate's more sweet based, so sometimes that sour thing is a little bit of an adjustment. But if you do like cucumbers, and essentially any vegetable can be fermented, which is the huge thing, because often we think of fermenting, we just think of sauerkraut. And we can do cucumbers, we can do green beans, we can do zucchinis, we can do anything you can possibly imagine can be fermented. So today we have a bowl of cut beets, which Lily, do you want to try some beet? We have some cut beets, and we've got some kohlrabi. So I'm going to do that as one batch, and then we've also got 2 bowls here of shredded cabbage. So I basically got 1 medium red cabbage here that I've shredded, and I've got 1 ginormous yellow cabbage that has been shredded. And I've got a really large bowl, which I'm going to transfer both into here. I've also shredded some fresh ginger here, and I haven't taken the skin off because essentially the bacteria is on the food. So we do obviously want to wash it, but that's where you're going to start that fermenting process, is that bacteria that's on the actual food. So that's where it comes from. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the ginger in here. Hands are clean. There we go. And put that in there. There we go. And oh my goodness, we have a lot. So I've got a whole bunch of jars here. A whole bunch. Put that over there. There. Put that after. Now I'm going to put that just like this. Put the little rainbow right here. And I'm going to get some salt in here. So, I'm out of salt. And the salt, I actually did a batch of kraut a little while back, and I followed the recipe, and it was called for about 1.5 tablespoons of salt for 1 medium-sized cabbage. It was so salty, we couldn't eat it. My son, Ocean, ate it. He liked it, but it was one of those you had 1 bite and you were like, it was totally overwhelming. Too much salt is not a good thing. And in fact, I did a bit of research, and they said if you add a little too much salt, it actually kills the healthy bacteria, which is counterproductive. So, and I thought that the salt was actually what got it going, but in fact it's not. You don't have to put salt in, but we're going to. So I'm just sort of grinding my salt here. Not everybody grinds their own salt. This is a sea salt. unrefined sea salt, and people recommend using Celtic salt. And salt's a whole conversation in itself, isn't it? There's so many amazing different salts out there. Okay, well, I'm going to set you down so I can use up my hands here. Put that there. There we go. Okay, this is the fun part. So I'm going to take some salt here, and I'm just going to start working it. Now, some people make a pre-brine when they're doing fermenting. They'll actually get, say, a cup of water, and they'll put a little bit of salt in it, and they'll whisk that around, and they'll pour that over their veggies and then put it in a can. Other people will put it in a bowl like this, for example, and start to break it down. Sometimes people use a mallet or use their hands, and you're breaking down the food, and you're breaking down the lactic acid in here, and you're getting the juices out, which starts to get that process going. And I noticed how strong my hands were getting as I started to do this. I was like, whoa, this is a good workout for my hands. And I cook a lot with my hands. I love mixing salads with my hands. It just puts the energy in. And there we go. Mixing that. And you can just feel the juices coming out. I'm actually standing on my tippy toes to get leverage. All right. And I feel inclined, you know, I could add a little bit of water to get those juices, because what we want to do is when we actually put it in the jar, we want to have the water, we want the water to start sitting on the top and keeping all of that, the cabbage underneath the water. There we go. Careful though. And I'm feeling like I'm going to add a little bit more salt. So I'm just going to get a little spoon here. And just get that. And that actually also helps to get the water out, adding that salt. I'm really careful not to add too much, because I ended up having to throw that first batch away, but it's all part of the learning process. It's good to make mistakes, because that's how we learn. And it's so fun. Like, I am so into this. I don't want to say addicted, but I'm very much into fermenting right now. I feel like everything I buy in terms of vegetables, I want to ferment. I just stopped myself because I got this beautiful cauliflower from a farm yesterday, and the first thing I wanted to do was ferment it. I think I'm going to cook it tonight in some really good oils and some salt, and serve it with our chicken tonight. So cauliflower is not going to be fermented. So I'm getting, you see that water there? Squeezing that water there? That's it. There it comes. So that's what we want. And that is going to be the brine that it's going to sit in and start that fermenting process. Right there, squeezing that. And you can just see, like, it requires effort. And some people use like a meat tenderizer, like a mallet, like something to get that, you know, pressure to squeeze it out. I've even seen people not do this. So I did notice, like, the more I'm researching, and I just honestly said every night I watch YouTubes of people doing this kind of thing and other things, but this is my latest thing. And everybody sort of has a different spin on how they do it. So I actually have this giant jar here, which I think I'm going to use. And I think I'm just going to add a little bit of water in here, just to get that going here. Just a little bit of water. I'm just going to actually put it in for something. There we go. And I'm going to mix that in. There we go. There we go. Squeeze. And just because I'm doing a video, I am certainly not an expert at this. I am just in that stage of just learning. I'm just here to share because it feels right for me. But do the research, look stuff up, get inspired. I like honestly say, like, I have one bite of the fermented foods I'm making. Like, I made some green beans last week, I have one bite of the green beans and I feel my system alter. Like I can feel digestion start and my stomach flatten. So it's just such a testament to this type of food. And most cultures eat fermented foods. In North America, we've just somehow, for some reason, have eliminated it from our diets. And it's so integral in digestion and you know, keeping the gut really healthy. Keeping our guts healthy, being able to, you know, keep that bioterrain healthy. So when stuff comes in the body, right, we can process it, and we can stay healthy, and we can work through things. So here I go. I'm just gonna pop it in, and it's kind of messy. I think I'd be a little tidier if I didn't have my little girl up here. I'd be able to wash my hands more frequently, but I'm just doing my best here. Popping that in. Wow, we might need another jar. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go like this, just like that. And certainly, you can use a spoon, and I'm just going to punch this down, to punch that right down, and you can see the juices coming up, and that's really what you want. And I was watching somebody say, because they're like, oh, does every piece of the plant, the food have to be under the water? And the answer to that was, they said, don't worry about, you know, they say like, you know, what about if bad bacteria can get sick? And they're like, the bacteria that's developing, the good bacteria in here is so powerful, it eats that, anything bad. So that was this woman's opinion, and I thought that was interesting. And I've been following, she wrote the book, The Body Ecology Diet, and she's very much into fermenting food. She's got a line of probiotics, like starters, cultures that she adds to things, and she even adds minerals to her ferments, which minerals essentially are just the foundation. We just don't get enough minerals in our food because apparently our soil's depleted. And I like to think, like, we live on Vancouver Island and we grow our own food here, we compost, and, you know, all the food is grown in our own compost. I like to think that we are getting a lot of the minerals that we work so hard to achieve through composting. You know, I'm not buying all commercial vegetables, like all the cabbage in here is from the garden, right? So, and I've got this yummy juice happening, and yummy's relative. Tara, that's just filming right now, she's getting a bit nauseous by all these smells. And I know for me, my husband's always said, get sauerkraut, and whenever we buy it, it always just goes bad in the fridge and he never eats it. And I was like never a huge fermented food person. And when my gut went out really badly after my second child, I was so beside myself. I couldn't even have a glass of water without feeling bloated. It was really frustrating. And I know some people can really relate to that. I felt I didn't know what to eat. I didn't know whether to cut, you know, I cut this out, I cut that out. And you're just like in this constant state of food stress. And I know what that's like. I've lived it, where you're, you know, just not sure what to eat. And it's a hard place to be. So the more we can create that bioterrain where our bodies have all this healthy bacteria, so we're these well-oiled machines, so what we put in the body can process, where we don't have these delicate systems that, oh my gosh, we eat one thing and we're completely out of balance. We want to get that health happening. So this has actually turned out really well. I'm really pleased. And here we are. So you can see how easy that was. I shredded 2 cabbage. I had a red one and a yellow, or a purple one and a yellow one. I added a bit of salt, and just salt it to taste it. Just how you'd salt a salad in terms of that's your quantity. Like, so if you just, you know, how salty you want it, and not too much salt because it kills the healthy bacteria. So that's that. I'm gonna put the top on, which is just over here. And it sits for about 10 days, and you want it in a warmer place, about body temperature. Without direct sunlight. So I found a cupboard in my kitchen that I find just works, and I've already got some stuff down there. I'll just take you over, and I'm going to put it over there. Here, baby. All right. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. And it's really cool because as it sits, and there's one thing too, actually, people actually put a cabbage leaf on top to kind of seal it and to keep that liquid down. I've seen also people say you can put a small jar to push it down, to continue pushing the down, to continue getting that liquid on the top. I actually one of my batches, I used a quartz crystal to push it down, and I thought, oh, that's really cool. I really liked that aspect of, you know, adding that crystal energy. This one I think is a bit too big for this, but I also have this rock that I found at the beach, and it's clean and everything. It's those little flower rocks that we found in Vancouver Island. I just love them. So I'm gonna put that rock down, and there you can see how it just pushes the liquid up, and that's kind of what you want there, to keep the liquid on the top. And then I'm just right into my ferments. I like check on them like they're like my little babies, like daily, you know, 3 times a day, and stare at them, and open them, and just see where they're at. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna quickly just lift that into here and push that down and get my liquid. There you go. And you can see how that just got the top there. All right, so I'm happy with that. I'm really, really happy. And that is a lot of kraut there. That's really exciting. And what's really fun is I really like the ginger aspect, because I do find that sometimes that kraut, you know, like cabbage thing can be a bit much, and I find the ginger just takes that away. The ginger just adds that aspect that is just so lovely, because everybody likes the smell of ginger, I think most people. So here I am, just over here, and I just found, this is just such a good spot here. I've got some jars down here. This is a July 13th, another July 13th. So these will be ready on the 23rd, which is just after this weekend, which I'm really excited about. And they are just getting there. When I open them, they're bubbling. So there we go. Let's put that there, put that there, and I'm gonna put my jar down. And I will date it. I think it's the 23rd. Or no, what's the date today? It's the
23rd.
Oh, it's the 23rd. I'm
pretty sure.
Here I am. That's ready.
I think so,
Is
yeah.
it the 23rd? Okay, so this is actually ready to go into the fridge. So that's really exciting. So I'm gonna take that out after, and I'm gonna just put it in the fridge, and I've got kraut that's ready to go. So super exciting. So shall we do the next one? So I'm just gonna open the fridge and show you that I've already done. This is a finished product of what we're about to do. And you can just see the color. It's really cool. It's basically kohlrabi and beets. And I've concluded that I just don't do raw kohlrabi very well. I bought a beautiful kohlrabi from the market, and I ate it, and I got like the worst stomach pains, and same with cabbage. So I just do find that the fermenting thing is so much easier to digest these foods. And another interesting point, let me just clean this. And normally I wouldn't be so wasteful there. I've just got a baby in my hand here. So one of an interesting thing I was reading was you actually, when you ferment for the kids, B vitamins, absorbable, bioavailable B vitamins, which is huge because these are our happy vitamins. Another thing they say with the immune system is 90% of your immune system is in your gut. Depression, mental disorders, things like that are also related to the gut. So having those B vitamins are the happy vitamins. So Lily loves these. I'll just show you. Let me show everybody here. I made these, and the kids, I made a dinner, and honestly, they were like, they ate a pile of these. Because I had somebody ask me, will the kids eat these foods? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they're really good. No. Yum. My friend Tracy, she's right into gut health too, and she said the actual juice when you make ferment, that's the mana, that's the deal. So that's where your health is just in that juicer. It's like this elixir. And I finally I've had a heavy meal and I'm feeling kind of like undigested. I have a tablespoon of whatever juice is happening in the ferment in the fridge, and you just feel it process. It's kind of like having a shot of apple cider vinegar. They're the same thing because again, apple cider vinegar is fermented. So here we are. Beets and kohlrabi. Super simple. You can shred, you can chop, whatever you like. Timing too is another interesting because 10 days is what was recommended for the sauerkraut. But vegetables, like my first batch was cucumbers, fresh green onions. Yeah, cucumbers and fresh green onions. And it was like literally a 2 or 3 day process. It wasn't much. Do you want some more? See if she loves it. So softer vegetables require less time. And this was about pulled this one out, I think it was about 8 days. So again, I'm just gonna squeeze that. Squeeze that. And these are harder vegetables, they're not gonna squeeze out as much liquid as say cucumbers. Like I know when I do this with cucumbers, it doesn't take much to get a really good brine happening just naturally without having to add water. So I'm gonna add just a titch of water. And some people, like I said, like they'll take the water and add the salt and mix it and then add it like a brine. I'm just usually adding this because I've already got the salt in here. And it doesn't, like, I was like totally under the impression when I first started this, that this was super scientific and exact and stuff, but you know, it's just, it's really like organic in its feel and how you make it. And these are beets. She's 1. Well, she's 13 March. Crazy. And unfortunately, we both have these little colds right now. So eating these fermented foods is really good because it's going to help us get rid of that. I know. Yeah. Beautiful. Just add a little bit more salt here. There we go. Perfect. And I don't have any ginger in this batch. I just had a treatment and she's like, oh, you have a little aloe on your hand. And I was like, no, it's just from grating beets. So I often have beet stained hands. Quite common. Okay, we're all witness to this. That's so good. So good. You feel it. It's like, it just feels good when it goes in your mouth. It's like it cleans your mouth. It's like, I don't know, just balances the mouth bacteria, you know? I've actually been off wheat too for a long time and I just feel so much better. Oh my goodness. Yum. So I'm just squeezing that. Squeezing it. And it's, I think, like, getting your kids involved too. I was like watching this show and someone was just like, getting your kids to cook and be part of the process gets them to eat it. And I had Phoenix, my eldest, he helped do the first ferment because the first time he had it, was like, Mama, make sure you always have this in the fridge. And he was right into it. And I was like, you know, quite inspired, to say the least. Anyways, I had him start the next batch with me and it didn't last too long. Like he sat here and squeezed a little bit and then I think he got a bit bored. But it was him being part of that process and, you know, wanting and being excited to eat it. And the kids like to do this thing too, getting them to mix herbs, you know, because they often, like, they don't realize the time that we spend, you know, doing all these things. They don't appreciate it when they come to the dinner table. They don't know we've spent, you know, all this time and energy and creative process and that cooking, you know. So when you get them in there, they really get a sense of it, and it's so good to do that. So what jar should I use here? Probably the big one, I think is gonna work. Okay, remember, I'm gonna put you, and this is, I haven't introduced my daughter. This is Lily Rainbow. And Ocean, my second child, my middle child, I wanted to call Lily Rainbow. And we said, we'll just use Rainbow as a middle name, and I think it's just perfect. She's totally Lily Rainbow. Okay, so, and I know, I just realized I just fed her with my mouth when I touch this ferment, and this is for family food. It's not in a food safe kitchen, and I'm probably breaking food safe rules. I know I took food safe with my husband and my brother, and we were never quite the same after that. Oh, did you burn yourself? You okay? Yeah. We've got a bone broth going on here, and she just touched it. Are you okay? It's hot. We're gonna do bone broth another day, but it's amazing. It's a bison bone broth with ginger and herbs and stuff, and we've just been basically drinking it the last 2 days. Super healthy, apparently another gut healer. Just what we hear, right? You know? Okay, so I'm gonna get a spoon. We just moved into this house and we're just sort of getting our bearings here in terms of where everything is. did a green bean. We went to a farm stand. They had these like amazing white, yellow and green beans, yellow and green beans. And it was so easy. I just like threw them all in the jar, made a quick brine of salt and water. I just put it on top, and within 4 days, we had the yummiest green beans ever. I love them. There, I'm just gonna knock that down with my fist here. Okay. I'm gonna add the liquid. There we go. There's a big chunk there. Okay. Definitely we could use more liquid in this guy, for sure. For sure. You know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna make a mini brine here to help get that liquid going. So I'm just gonna add a bit of water. Touch of salt. Just a touch of salt. Touch of salt. Mix it around. There we go. So easy, eh? So easy. Good job. Just get that going. And you're gonna notice, like, you'll do this and so fast it starts bubbling, and you can see the bubbles happening, and that's it's starting to ferment and the bacteria forming. That's gonna heal us. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so I have extra. I'll go with that after. And why don't we just put the crystal in? I'll just show you. I'm gonna give it a rinse. And we're a crystal family. I've always liked crystals. I've had them since I've been little. Always been into crystals. Okay, so push, 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 push. Push, push. Okay. It might even be too big. We'll see if I just get that. Okay. Oh no. No. There we go. Oh no. Exciting. Oh no. I think I'll skip that crystal here. I think I'm gonna skip it today. But you get the idea. Maybe something a bit smaller for this specific one. But go get yourself a crystal. I wouldn't get one that's been polished or anything, because sometimes they put things on it, so you just want to sort of get a raw one. You also don't want to use a crystal like kyanite or selenite or anything like that, because they'll shard. You want to use just like a nice clean quartz or something. Even a rose quartz would be really cool. If I have one in the house, I'm still in boxes right now, so still just getting organized. Organized. Real for that? Okay. That's good. There we go. There it is. It's just happening. It's happening for me. Okay. And where's my lids? Over here. There we go. And I'm going to put the top on that. And again, make sure you put your date on. And even recording, like I like to have, I make logs of what we've made and how we like it and stuff. But make sure you put your date on, because you think you won't forget, but you actually do. Like, I forgot what day it was. I thought I had a week on this, and I obviously don't. So here we are. So here it goes. And I discovered something. It doesn't work for these tall jars, but I actually have a warming jar, a warming drawer for my oven down here, and I can actually set it optimally 90 degrees, especially if you want to make like kefir. So I could have set that for 90 degrees, but a mason jar doesn't fit. But if you have a warming jar, you can do that, because then you can be really specific in the temperature. But yeah, just room temperature, body temperature is what you want. And in the summer, things will ferment faster because it's warmer. So that's that. So good luck, have fun, start something easy, and just enjoy getting all that healthy bacteria in your gut.